coming at you. Good Wednesday, everybody. Welcome once again to BTL Bass Talk Live, where we're going to talk bass fishing and anything else that we want to talk about. Matthew, it's a little chilly out there this morning.
I did not think I was going to make it in.
You're talking really quiet like this.
I did not think I was going to make it in for the show today, Mark.
I saw all the accidents on the bridges and overpasses, and it was a mess out there. But you choose the rock star lifestyle to commute, and you could have taken the helicopter, man.
Yeah, really rock star.
All right, good show today. We're going to wrap up the week with Miles Sonar Burghoff, and an interesting dude. The guy has fished just about every single thing that you can fish, Matthew.
Yeah, you're talking opens, college bass, FLW, Yeti college fishing, BFLs, Costas, now the FLW Tour. He's had his co-hosted his own TV show. He has instructional videos, webinars, a YouTube channel.
He's loaded up.
And he's also in 13th place,
That's correct.
I believe.
That is correct.
In the FLW
Bad place
Tour.
to be.
No, it's a great place to be.
12th would be great. 14th would be great.
I
13th.
would gladly be in 13th
Dude,
place.
did you ever
have
any of your teammates wear 13?
Yeah.
Why?
I had no issues with it.
I stay away from 13.
No, I stay away from the bananas. I have a lucky hat that I keep in the boat, and I have no idea why, but I also just listen to Jeff Crete and don't wear the red underwear when I'm fishing.
So you didn't get freaked out, or you wouldn't get freaked out if you were boat number 13?
Absolutely not. I am not superstitious at all, but I also carry some Mardi Gras beads that that have little bass on them.
You just said you don't put bananas in the boat.
Yeah, I have no superstitions.
That's the stupidest thing ever.
I have no superstitions, but I also do have I have a Team Daiwa hat from when I was in 8th grade, Mark. And
where'd you get that at?
I got it at Walmart. Because I bought a Daiwa reel at Mike's Tackle World, and I thought I had to have the matching hat for it.
Yeah.
But it's actually in my tool bag. I mean, I can't wear it anymore. It's totally destroyed. But it's in the boat for every tournament.
And for what reason?
It's good luck. I just like to have it with me. I haven't used a Daiwa reel since I was in high school. But I've got it.
Did something good happen when you bought the hat?
I don't know why. It's a weird deal. But it's always in the boat. So I have like a little pack of all this stuff.
All right. So we're going to get to Miles here in about 10, 15 minutes. We'll have him live via Skype. And he is now living in Tennessee.
Yeah, I knew he started out in California.
He's been all over the place.
I know he's been in Gunnersville.
Yeah,
in Alabama, Florida.
Yeah.
And now
I forgot to print it off. I received an email from his very first guide trip from the guy that he took out at Lake Toho.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He's also guided in the past.
Would you say he's paid his dues?
Absolutely.
Or paying his dues?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I was doing some research. I mean, there was an article from 5-6 years ago where it was like, this dude's on track to become a professional angler, professional bass fisherman was his goal. So, I mean, it's been a process.
Yeah. Yeah. Now lives on Chickamauga.
Not a bad place to live on.
Yeah. And he said they've gotten slammed by rain,
There's a bunch of guys that are on Chickamauga now because you throw Jacob Wheeler in the mix, him, Michael Neal.
Buddy Gross.
Is Andy Morgan right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know there's a couple others that I'm leaving off, too.
It's kind of turning into the Gunnersville where guys are flocking to one single body of water. Got another email right here.
Oh, boy.
This one's really interesting from a gentleman by the name of Matthew. All right? Folks, it's not from this guy over here. Says, Mark, thanks for mentioning the limits on equipment. He says, how would the Pro Tours change in the event that each event was sponsored by a different company, graph maker, trolling motor, engine company, whatever it is. The guys would just show up with X number of rods and reels, X number of lures, X number of plastics, and go fishing. The guys could say what they have chosen and what they have with them, and the marketing dollars would flow to the payouts. In other words, his model is this, Matthew. It's kind of a derivative of what I've talked about years ago, where the companies behind the equipment actually show up at each event and go, okay, for $3,000, I'm going to give you X number of this. I want you to use this. For $10,000, I want you to use this. For $12,000, because they all say that they can't survive on winnings alone. That's been the, kind of the premise for the entire history of this game. Agreed?
It's a general consensus.
Yeah. So, interesting concept. It said all the above would be in vain if the truth is that the anglers can't live off of the tour winnings and all the guys are truly traveling fishing sales reps, which is an interesting thought. And this is from a fan, too. This is not somebody in the industry. It says, if they are sales reps, then this is just a hobby and not a professional sport. Fans are just people that love fishing and enjoy the fishing content. I am under the belief that the correct business model for professional fishing has not been developed yet. But the right model has to be somewhere between NASCAR and what a team owner fields a stable of X number of boats. And I think what MLF has started a discussion of what the sport of bass fishing is, and I hope we can see it improve.
Did you ghostwrite that?
No.
Okay. That's a lot of the concepts. No, I know. I'm just giving you a hard time, but that's a lot of the concepts that you've talked about over the years, a hybridization of traditional tournament fishing, the independent angler relying on tournament by tournament sponsorship, and the team component.
Since we're talking about this, I'm going to try and pull something up real quick. I don't know if I can get it pulled up in time if you would like to talk about something else, because I'm going to relate it back to bowling. It is something that I ran across. I didn't even know it existed because I've kind of been out of the loop from a participation perspective, but there is a very unique characteristic about what the PBA is doing that is so far removed from what anything has been ever done in the game of professional fishing that I thought it'd be a good discussion topic, and I forgot to get it pulled up before the show. So it puts limitations on kind of the territory on jerseys. Mm-hmm. All right? And there's some other stuff involved with it too. So I'm going to try and pull it up real quick. In the meantime, let me ask you this. How many trails, and I'm not talking the team trails, but how many individual trails through your history have you fished? Are you even close to what Miles has done?
I fished the 3 college trails. I fished a club level. I fished 2 different clubs, 3 college trails, the Bassmaster Opens, and now the Costas. No, I fished 3 different clubs, the Bassmaster and the Bassmaster Opens and the Costas.
So you're close.
Yeah, I mean, Miles has fished in an All-American. I haven't done that. I've fished in the Bass Nation Championship. So, he's got the tour. That's just a big one up there, though. That's just the top level with just 170 guys. So,
I can't get to it there. I'm going to try and get to it over there.
The other thing really quick was we got tagged. There's a Facebook page called the Freak Finder Fishing. Apparently, there's a bunch of legislative stuff going on in Maine. And based on what this guy's saying, they're trying to pass a law to make that you have to use biodegradable hooks and all sorts of crazy stuff in Maine. So I thought that was interesting. I was listening to it, his little speech on the way here about it. So
I also saw some stuff, and I can't remember where I saw it, where they're trying to change or put limitations on where you can fish or what time of the year you can fish on Kentucky Lake. Did you see that?
No.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like right during the peak time of ledge fishing.
That you can't even fish.
Yeah.
For bass.
Yeah.
Or at all.
At all.
Zero fishing on Kentucky?
Yeah, I need to find that.
You gotta find that. There's absolutely no.
Yesterday.
There's no way.
Oh yeah. I'm almost there, man.
That's a sweet mock turtleneck, by the way. You're channeling your inner Zaldane.
I think I've been wearing these a little bit longer.
You two have the warmest necks in the league right now.
Yeah. Okay, I'm close.
Okay. What are you looking for again?
These are the new, and let me get this queued up to where people can see it.
For iTunes listeners, it is Bass Talk Live, spelled out BASSTA.
No, but this is important.
YouTube.
Okay, you can see it up there on the monitor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this right here is kind of, let me throw this over here to where people can see it. They basically have sectioned off jerseys that they see on TV.
Explain what you're looking at here for people.
This is a jersey that must be worn during competition of a professional, a PBA tournament event.
And all it is it's a mock-up jersey, and it's blank, but there are different numbers, 1 through 14, it looks like.
16.
1 through 16, strategically located on this blank jersey, I'm assuming, where your sponsor logos can go.
Yeah. Now, when you went and watched the PBA event,
I noticed this.
Yeah.
It's all endemic.
Exactly. All right. And here's a reason why. All right. There are minimums that they call them athletes that the athletes can accept for each one of those numerical positions.
Minimums as far as dollars.
Yes.
So basically, you can't have a guy who says, I'll wear this for $1,000.
Yeah.
Where another guy said, I'd wear it for $5,000. And they go, well, we're going to go with the 1,000. So you're basically setting a base so no one lowballs anyone else.
Yeah. And we're not going to spend a lot of time on this, but this is intriguing. Okay. Very intriguing. First of all, for a complete integrated branding of a shirt design, basically, they're calling it a Snickers bar wrapper. All right. In other words, the whole thing. An athlete must be paid a minimum of $25,000
per season.
Yes.
Okay. Wait a second. So you're telling me like a guy who has ebonite
yes.
that takes up the sleeves and the front, everything.
Totally integrated.
Because I saw a bunch of those guys.
$25,000
for the year, and they have it for the year. They're going to always roll in an ebonite jersey.
Yes.
So everyone you saw that had a single sponsor on their jersey that was in that bowling alley,
a minimum of $25,000.
They were getting paid $25,000.
Yes. It's crazy, isn't it? Okay.
I mean, that's not like retire in Hawaii money, but it's solid considering the entry fees.
But think about the difference in the fishing model compared to this.
But that's all that they'll make, though, is whatever one sponsor is.
Not true.
Because they don't have any other sponsors.
Not true.
Through sponsorships?
No. Listen, hang on. I'm not done, okay? For the top center, chest portion, top center right here, athlete must be paid a minimum, which is real important. They can ask for more. A minimum of $10,000.
That is the Bass Cat, the Triton,
the Berkeley, the Strike King, the whatever. Okay.
And that's how much? 10?
10 grand.
Okay.
Lower center chest portion, 10 grand. For any of the 3 lower abdomen positions, which are across.
I didn't see many abdominal muscles on the bowling tour.
No, but there's 3 underneath all those. Okay.
Let me guess. 3,500?
$3 grand.
Ooh, I was close.
$3 grand.
Okay.
Minimum. That's the key. Minimum. They can charge more. Anyway, their model is.
But isn't there a list that they can be sponsored by, and that's it?
That's it. Because the PBA, guess what, receives 5% of every professional bowler.
What do you mean?
So, like, if Walter Ray Williams goes out and he gets Storm or he gets whoever, and then he's got, let's say he's got $100,000 in sponsorship just from his jersey, then
Right.
the PBA gets $5,000.
And that just goes into the PBA fund.
Yep.
So here's the thing. It seemed like every single bowler had sponsors on their jersey, but there were some that had.
You can't do it if you don't have sponsors. That's just it.
Well, I'm just saying, but
I guess you could go out there with a blank jersey.
well,
if
what
you
I was
wanted
knowing
to.
was some guys. What I was thinking back was some guys just had like a top sponsor.
That's it.
But no giant logo,
Right.
Or just had some smaller sponsors
With
on
their
the
name
bottom.
on the back.
right? So so basically you can look at a bowler's jersey and know minimum how much he's making in sponsorship.
Yeah.
And that doesn't change for the TV shows or anything?
No. It's really, really interesting how they've set that up.
Mm-hmm.
Now, every single sponsor has to be approved by the PBA. In other words, let's say they went out and they had, they wanted to do some cross branding.
Right.
And they said, hey, bowling, fishing, same way. They went out and they tied in Strike King. Get it?
Yeah,
Strike bowling.
Yeah.
They want to do some cross promotion. They would have to go to the PBA and submit a proposal for the representation of Strike King lures.
Right. It's not like you just show up with Strike King and now it's your sponsor. It has. So when we went there was like actually a board that had all of the possible sponsors on the board, right?
Yeah.
So it would basically be like going to a bass tournament and going to an Elite Series tournament, and the only sponsors that could be represented there are the ones that you see in the background of the weigh-in stage.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
But very, very, very successful. But one of the things that we're going to talk to Miles about, I have a picture, and this is very unique because he is known for what? Miles.
The sonar? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's electronics.
Yeah. All right. But he doesn't have a electronics sponsor.
Navionics.
But I'm talking about the actual unit.
I don't know. Okay.
He doesn't.
Oh.
I mean, I talked to him last night.
Okay.
And I've got a picture, and we're going to get into that discussion, which is very, very, very unique.
Was he one of the guys who runs like 9 different types of units on his
He's
boat?
got a lot of them on his boat.
Pulls the Randy Haynes.
He also said something that was very interesting because we got into the equipment kind of deal, and he said sometimes too much is too much.
I wonder what he thinks about what Stephen Browning said yesterday.
I don't know. We'll talk to him about that. Anyway, I wanted to bring up, I want to say thanks to Matthew for sending that in. He's got some very interesting viewpoints on what might go down or what he thinks would go down for the future of the professional part of the game. So anything else, Matthew? Were you white knuckling it this morning a little bit?
No, it wasn't bad at all. I mean, the roads were fine because it's been warm.
Yeah.
So that's not physics. What is that?
What?
Where like the road stays hotter, so then it's not going to get icy.
I don't know. It'd be the weather, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, it's...
I guess. I don't know. All right, we're going to take a break. Come back with Miles Burghoff right here on a Wednesday. We'll be right back.
Sleek new design with easy control file. The clearest images underwater with uncompromising range. Live mapping from the touchscreen. View notifications, video, even Google Maps on screen. And for the first time ever, real-time view of fish movements with live sight sonar. HDS Live. New from Lowrance.
It's about the hours spent getting everything just right. It's the attention to detail. Good just isn't good enough. It's the years spent on the water day after day. When you tie on a bait by Strike King, you're standing on the shoulders of legends.
Pros depend on hydraulic jack plates to get the best out of their boats. Do what they do. Demand Atlas performance. Atlas gets you from the bottom to the top in less than 8 seconds, even with the big 4 strokes. And when you gotta turn right around and get that heavy load back up in rough water, Atlas's innovative design and American-made components will get you there with confidence.
I'm at Depot. Just look for yourself. There's an Atlas jack plate on just about every professional's boat.
The Atlas hydraulic jack plate. You can depend on it.
Hey guys, Aaron Martins here. I'm going to be telling you about a new product by Sunline. It's Siglon PE x8. I've been using it almost extensively all year for my frogging, flipping, drop shotting, shaky heading, worming, jerk baiting. It's by far my favorite Sunline braid. I honestly, this is, I don't say this unless I think it's true, but honestly it's the best braid in the market of any of the braids. Definitely check it out. It's a price point line, $14.95 for 165 yards, and that could last you a whole year, just one spool with using leader material. It's Siglon PE x8. It's my favorite braid, and I think if you use it, it'll be your favorite braid too. AFCO has a new foul weather rain suit called the Hydronaut. A lot of the features that I really like about it first is the speed vent hood. If it's raining out, you know, how a person gets wet is when you run down the lake and the hood comes down. With the speed vent hood, it's going to stay up. It has a camera mount in the pocket on the chest. The Hydronaut has a 2-layer, 100% waterproof nylon shell. If you're interested in a rain suit that has a lot of cool features that's going to keep you dry, you need to check out the Hydronaut from AFCO.
All right, we are back on a very, very chilly Wednesday here in Oklahoma. And, dude, I think you're freaking nuts if you think you're going to go out this weekend. I don't care if you're going to a power plant lake or not. Nasty, nasty, nasty weather.
What does my buddy say? You got to risk it to get the biscuit?
Yeah, and I think Chad in Canada wants a little promo for that. I'm not posting that, Chad. Just a little info for you there. Anyway, it is time for our guest on Wednesday, and next week, dude, I am working on a good one. All right?
Okay.
Waiting on confirmation. Next week, I will also come out
With a guest?
What do you mean?
That's what you're working on?
Yeah.
Cronky?
No.
Oh, he got my hopes up.
I'm sorry, man. Can't go there.
I'm sure he's a fan of the show. You imagine how fast his Wi-Fi is?
Yeah, no worries, man. No worries on that Skype feed, would we?
Yeah, he's watching it in the G6.
From the jet, yeah. Anyway, I will also be doing the classic odds once again.
9 years now?
9 years.
9 years.
Yeah.
Have we ever had the odds-on favorite win? I don't think so.
No.
We've had a 2-1 win.
Yeah.
But we've never had the odds-on favorite.
I've had a really, really good probably last couple of years in nailing it.
Of picking the odds of how it would.
Totally different folks. It's not what they do over on Bassmaster. This is these are odds that are based if there was a betting line.
Yeah, Jordan Lee was fairly a long shot at Conroe. Because at the time he had
8-1 or 9-1?
more than that. At the time he hadn't won anything. He'd been on the Elite Series for 2 or 3 years. Well, I mean, he had just been in college. He hadn't won the Elite Series.
Yeah.
Or anything.
So that's
Do you
something to
know
look
who
forward
your
to.
favorite is going to be?
No.
Because you could go a number of different directions here.
If I had to say right now, Odd Defo. He would be my even money.
It's probably pretty
1-1.
pretty good even money there.
Yeah. Maybe even, I don't know, 2-3. I don't know.
You ever done that where your computer freezes, so then you just like click the open button about 15 times, and then after about 3 minutes it decides to open all 15 windows at once?
Is that what happened?
Yeah, that's what's going on right now over here.
All right, let's go ahead and bring in our guest now. He is currently residing in Tennessee at Chickamauga, not on the lake, but close by, right there, and kind of establishing, as you mentioned earlier, a number of other professionals reside from that area, and looking forward to talking to him. Miles, you there, man?
I'm here.
All right, dude. Thanks for taking time out. First time on the show, and we appreciate you taking time out. But a FLW Tour Rookie, and you're off to a great start, man.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a fun ride so far. You know, that first event, you just don't want to suck in. I think that's the goal.
Yeah. Did you hear that, Matthew?
Yeah, well, mine was a Costa. His was a tour event.
It's still a tournament. It's still a derby.
Hey, it happens. What did I just say? You got to risk it to get the biscuit.
Oh, that's pretty funny. All right, man. Matt and I mentioned to open the show, dude, you have fished just about everything there is to fish from an individual perspective.
Well, he has, except the Elite Series.
Yeah.
And MLF.
That's it.
But everything else you fished at every single level. Championships,
college,
co-angler side, boater side, college, everything.
Hey, you paid your dues, man.
I've got a long way to go, but it's been fun. You know, the way I've kind of approached this, you guys kind of touched on earlier, you know, I've kind of lived everywhere. And I've kind of done that by design. So I'm not the guy that does good at any one region. You know, it doesn't dominate in any one lake or region, but I've fished everywhere. So I've been kind of consistent, which is good. I like that.
So is there anywhere new on the schedule for the tour this year, or have you been to all 7 of the fisheries? Grand Lake I haven't been to. You've never been to Grand Lake?
I've never been to Grand, and it looks so grand.
Yeah. That's, what is that, a little under a month. That just went off limits, I think, for you guys, because there were a number of FLW Tour pros tooling around before it went off limits, I saw.
I think it's in restricted, but not off limits. I'd have to check my schedule.
Well, you'd have to chip ice to launch your boat now.
No, it's fine right now, but in about 3 days, there's going to be a nice coat of ice.
Yeah.
Dude, the weather's crazy.
So you spent time, obviously, in California. You spent time in Florida, spent time in Alabama. You're now in Tennessee. Which one has been your favorite place?
I think from a fishing aspect, or as a growing aspect, I think Tennessee is my new favorite, because this area, like East Tennessee fishermen, have some of the toughest lakes out here, and I've learned so much in the last couple of years. I mean, Florida was great. It was a great learning experience. You know, I figured I'd move down there to learn those Florida lakes, because that's how you start off a season every single year. And so I started there. But as far as the variety of different fishing conditions, different types of lakes, Tennessee is probably a really good training ground.
Have you had like a job during all this stuff with all these moves, or how have you like supported? Because I'm sure, I mean, yeah, it sounds great, but I'm sitting here thinking, I mean, how are you able to do this?
All right, so the breakdown is, when I moved from California to Florida to go to college, I actually have been guiding in Alaska during the summers since 2005. Since the night I graduated high school, I went up to Alaska for my first year. And so when I was going up there, I'd work for 2.5, 3.5, 4 months, and come back with a bunch of money in my pocket, and that would kind of sustain me a little bit. And then I'd have little jobs here and there while I was going to college. And I was also a waiter at Red Lobster in college. So I did that, and they give me as much time off as I needed, but that's pretty much what I did, and then tournament winnings and things like that.
Wow, the Admiral's Feast. It's Lobster Fest right now going on. The Admiral's Feast, those lobster.
Don't get me started on
the
English
lobster
shrimp.
taco. Now, I heard, I have a little inside track on Red Lobster waiters. I heard they hate Endless Shrimp Month.
Dude, I just said don't get me started on endless shrimp.
Despise it. Like, if I don't go and get the endless shrimp because I know that the waiters and waitresses hate Endless Shrimp Month so much at Red Lobster. That's a fact. Where did you guide in Alaska? Kenai Peninsula?
So I work on an island called Burghoff Island. I work at a wilderness lodge, Burghoff Wilderness Lodge, and it's on the other side of the island from Sitka, which is southeast Alaska.
Okay.
All right, cool. Now, what I want to do now, Miles, is I'm going to throw up a picture for the viewers to see, and for those people listening on iTunes, you're just going to have to check it out. But it is a picture that I grabbed from your Facebook page. And let me throw it out there now real quick. I don't know if you can see it or not. But you are holding a Humminbird, a Lowrance, and a Garmin unit.
Yeah.
And this is very unique because when we were setting this up, I asked you, I was like, okay, who is your unit sponsor? And you're like, well, I use all three. And you have all three on your boat this season, and it's a plethora of screens on your boat, isn't it?
Yeah. I actually, going into the FLW Tour season this year, I met up with a guy, Jason, that runs a company called bassboatelectronics.com. And so they're a retail, an online retailer of electronics. And, I didn't have a electronics partner at the time, and we struck up a pretty good partnership. And so he has me running 3 different brands. I've got a Humminbird on the dash that is really good for, I generally use it for my 2D, when I'm on plane. I've got a through-hole transducer for that. And then I've got 2 Lowrance Live units that are the backbone for my system. I use it for structure scan, when I'm looking for fish and structure, and then also for waypoint management. And then on the bow, along with one of my live units, I have a Garmin unit for Panoptix Live Scope. So it's the best of all worlds. Yeah. And then I've got Navionics for all of them.
Matt over here is licking his chops, man.
No, it's just I know how does that work as far as the rigging and all that stuff? I mean, how do you not get like spun out, because they all have little glitches in them?
Yeah. Actually, that's the beautiful part about this whole system, is the fact that it doesn't matter what brand you're talking about. They're all going to have glitches. And if you have, 3 or 4 units linked together, a lot of times the glitches tend to run in packs, and so they'll all start kind of glitching up. But if you have all these isolated systems, you've got backups for everything, which is really nice.
So do you run lithiums then?
No. I actually run a Z19, which is a 19-foot, 4-inch nitro, and I've got all class 31 trolling motor AGM batteries in there, and it is a heavy boat.
Wow.
And then you can take all the units off, or do they stay on the boat? Like, how long does it take to rig up all that? Because you've got different mounts. Some you have to plug in. Some have like 3 or 4 screw-ins on it. I mean,
it's not that bad. I mean, I have them locked on the front, generally, unless it's like at a hotel when I'll take them off. But it's just like, having 4 units of, a single brand, really, as far as rigging it up. But the rigging was done by Bass Boat Electronics. Right. Jason came over and he rigged everything up. I had to replace a transducer yesterday, and I tell you what, there's a lot of wires in there. So, I'll say that.
Have you ever, that's my last question, then we'll get back to the topic at hand, but do you ever just like go over something cool on the 2D or the down and then be like, I'm going to see what it looks like on all 3 different types of units, and it's just like drastically different on all 3, and you're like, what the heck am I looking at? Or is it, at this point, is it all pretty congruent, but to like if there's a boat on the bottom, you can see it on all 3 units and it looks the same?
If you take away Panoptix Live Scope, they're pretty much all the same technology, same principles. I mean, they're using very similar frequencies and things like that. So images aren't very much different, but that Panoptix live scope, which Lowrance is also coming out with a similar, forward-looking sonar as well. That thing is just incredible as far as what it does. In real time, being able to see what's in front of the boat, both structure, cover, and fish. It's amazing.
That's got to be a lot of cone pinging pressure noise underneath the water surface there.
That's one thing I worry about, is just too much going on. It's like I'm worried that the fish just hear all of it at once. But I mean, it's no different than having 4 units of one brand.
Yeah,
anyway.
you just fire up the hydrowave and it masks it.
Right. Yeah.
All right, Miles, I have to ask you, and Matt and I get into this argument all the time, but has it gotten to the point where, especially with the unit that you discussed, that it was just off the charts and all that and everything, is there a point where you have too much information and you can get so dialed in to trying to catch fish that you're seeing that it actually becomes a disadvantage?
Yeah. A lot of people talk about electronics, the technology, continuing to make things unfair, in an uneven playing field. But really, technology is just a tool. Every single piece of technology that comes out is just another tool. And if you don't know how to use that tool correctly and you don't integrate it into your fishing style, appropriately, it's going to work against you. For instance, the Panoptix live scope, I've got to relearn how I look at a unit throughout the day, because it's showing you so much information. Like, you're seeing so much biomass down there, fish swimming around, that it just captivates you, and you just constantly look at it. And so you've got to learn when to shut that off and pay attention to the macro variables that are going on around you. So that's kind of my perspective on it is definitely, if you use it right, it's a huge advantage. But if you pay too much attention to it and you give it too much weight, it can work against you.
All right. What did you study in college?
Marketing.
From what university?
University of Central Florida.
Okay.
Yeah.
UCF. Mm-hmm. They have a very famous person now on their basketball team. Any idea who that is?
A famous person
clue.
on their basketball team?
Yeah, he's the tallest player in college basketball.
At UCF?
He's 7'7". You've never seen this guy?
No.
He'd be a great sight fisherman.
Oh, he would be. Yeah, he doesn't have to jump to dunk.
I would hope not.
Yeah, his name is Taco Hall.
Taco Hall.
Yeah, from UCF. He's a freak. 7'7".
That sounds like a BFL angler. I got beat by Taco Hall.
No, that's one of my all-time names, though, man. Taco Hall.
Taco got me again. You know he likes that black and blue jig.
Yeah, he's a freak. 7'7". Anyway, let's go back to your first performance on the FLW Tour at Sam Rayburn. Really, how did you get dialed in? You had a 12th place finish, but what was one of the biggest factors for you to have success that week?
It took me a while to kind of get, situated, because I hadn't been fishing in like literally 2 months between, trying to sell my old boat, getting a new boat rigged out, and just staying at home trying to get all the sponsor stuff worked out. When I got on the water, it took me a while to kind of get comfortable and get back in the zone and start fishing well, because you have those preconceived notions going into practice with the water so high. You're just like, this is going to be a hard task to find these fish. But through kind of a process of elimination, I discovered that the fish were really at that zone where they probably normally would be this time of year, and started running that. And during practice, I was doing really good on a spinnerbait, actually a Z-Man sling blades. I was throwing a 3/4 ounce, they're mouse rat color, and just crushing them. I actually had a pretty good consistent bite going. And then I also found this one spot, because obviously on Sam Rayburn and those lakes down there in South Texas, drains are something that you hear a lot, which is essentially just a creek. It's a little channel that dumps into a creek creek or bay. And so I started running some of those patterns, and I found one that I ended up throwing a chatterbait out, and it was like 15 foot of water right at the edge of the bushes, and got a bite immediately, missed it, and then got another bite, set the hook and hooked one on the side, and then caught another one on the next cast, and then made one cast just way out in the middle of the creek just to see what was going on, and caught a 4-pounder. And I was like, okay, there might be something going on here. So we actually had a cold front move through, and my spinnerbait bite died, and that one drain that I'd found him on the chatterbait it ended up being kind of the deal. Even though I did catch 2 over 6 just running new water on the second day.
There's that word again, Matthew.
What?
Chatterbait.
Yeah, well, you were one of
Right.
the only guys. I know we'd actually talked about this on a lot of previous shows, that we were surprised that there weren't a bunch of guys that finished in the top 10 that were, or you finished 12th there, but in the top 20 that were throwing a chatterbait. You know, there's a lot of deep cranking, the trapping, some weird... the wacky worm deal that Chad was doing and stuff. But, I mean, you were one of the guys who were able to utilize the chatterbait and make that work.
Yeah, I don't know why nobody else got on that bite, because at least that one spot was very, very consistent. I actually found another spot during practice that didn't end up playing during the tournament, but you had to either really use like one of the 1.25 ounce jackhammers, or you had to just, yo-yo it through that deep grass, because the grass that was normally, 5 foot deep was now in, 14, 15 feet of water. So that's probably why it just didn't set up right for your traditional chatterbait tactics.
I kind of have a question just about, I guess, focus is the best way to put it. I mean, you had a TV show for a couple of years. You've got blogs on Bass Fang. You do all these webinars. I know you had one last night that was like 2 hours. It was like how to break down a new lake. I mean, you have PowerPoint presentations and the whole 9 yards. You talk about your marketing strategies. I know you've actually this past year turned down possibly some other opportunities in the industry to pursue your career as an FLW Tour angler. Talk about how you kind of juggled it and the path that you took, because like we talked about before, you've been involved in everything in this industry to get where you are now. Have you always wanted to be a tour angler? Is it something that you wanted to be in the industry, or it's a kind of unique path, and then to find a focus and not get distracted by all the other things that you're doing in the industry?
Yeah, I'm still trying to find that balance. I mean, I've heard you guys say that, I'm dialed in on the business side, but I'm just trying to do my best, because there's a lot going on, especially nowadays with kind of the need to be more in touch with social media and have those platforms. I've always wanted to be a tournament angler. Like a tour level angler is where I wanted to be. That's the main focus. And really all these other things like hosting Sweetwater, and then also hosting, the Big Bass Tour right out of college, all those kind of just happened, and it wasn't necessarily, my plan. But going back to the business side, it does take a tremendous amount of time and energy to kind of keep up with all this. And I don't think that I'm doing it well. I think I'm doing it, and I've got a passion for growing in that realm. But it's definitely a balancing act, because you also need to think about the time that you have to spend with your family. My wife at home, so I gotta try to balance that, and there's a lot of distractions going on. But yeah, it's tough, and I don't really have a straight answer for you. It's just you got to keep going. What I do in the morning is I grab a cup of coffee and sit there and watch FLW or a Bass episode on my computer, and that gets me motivated for the rest of the day.
Hey, I'm curious. Your dad, has he ever been to a tournament? Has he ever seen you participate in any tournament in whatever state that you were in?
Yeah, he's been to a couple. He went to one in Kissimmee Chain in Florida, and then he also went to the 2007 Bassmaster Weekend Series National Championship on Clarksville, and so he has been to 2.
What does he think about all this?
He likes it. Obviously, if I'm going through a string of bad tournaments, he worries about me. That every parent would, but I think overall I've had enough success for him to be happy with what I'm doing and kind of understand that. I mean, he was an actor. I mean, so he jumped into a career that was very unlikely, with a very low likelihood of success. And that's kind of what you kind of experience in bass fishing. You have to be very passionate about it, want it, and pay your dues for a lot of years. And so he had some concerns, but I don't think anybody wouldn't have concerns.
Now, you actually were involved, your family was involved in the wildfires that took place out in California in Paradise. And, man, that's just a bad deal. And I had no idea. Matt, I don't know if you knew this or not, but John Johnson at Bass Fan, actually lived in Paradise.
Didn't he give you that book, Loose Balls?
Yeah, about the old ABA. Yeah, it was. We were actually talking about that. But did you guys lose everything that was there? I mean, what's kind of the scoop on that?
Man, that campfire was devastating. We got to go there. It was very difficult being here in Tennessee and watching it happen to my friends. The day of, my mom called me because she's been living in Georgia with my brother, but she still has her house. We had to move her over there because she has some health issues. But she was over there, and she called me and said, our house is on fire over there. And I said, oh, that's terrible. It didn't really, it really didn't hit me. I didn't have a connection to the stuff in there anymore. So it wasn't that big of a deal, but obviously I wanted to know if she had insurance, and then she did. So we hung up the phone, and that was that. I was just like, man, that stinks. And then I started hearing reports of the fire engulfing the entire town. And so I called my friends that are over there. Some of my best friends are still living there, and they were in the fire when I called them before the cell towers went out. Wow. And so it was incredible. It moved 80 football fields per minute. That's how fast this thing moved. And my mom's house got completely leveled, and so we ended up going there right before New Year's. And man, it was a humbling experience. It was actually therapeutic to be there and see it in person, because you see the people already adjusting to it. But at the same time, it was a very sad time, because this town, the entire town that I grew up in for most of my life, is completely gone. There's only a few businesses still standing, and I think 90%, 85% of the homes are gone. It was just completely devastating. Over 16,000 homes, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sure there was a lot of memories and a lot of stuff that were lost in there. Did anything survive, or was there anything that you guys were able to salvage from that, or at all?
So, yeah, I've got a couple keepsakes. The thing about the fire that really surprised me is that the absolute heat that it created. I mean, it was unlike anything I've ever seen. My old Chevy Tahoe was there, and anything aluminum melted into puddles, and steel just crumpled because it was detempered, or whatever you would call it. Nothing survived except for porcelain. And we had a safe, this one little safe that was still standing, and it was pretty easy to get into with a crowbar. And we found something pretty cool in that. I want to show you that. So the safe, we opened it up, and we didn't realize that this was in there, but we found some original MASH scripts in there.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
And my dad's scripts. So these are some of these are the final drafts, and they're in really good condition. You can see that it got hot around the edges. It got so hot, but I think the reason why they survived and they didn't burst into flame is because there was no oxygen in the safe. I think it was secure enough. So that was kind of cool. And there was also some coins. It got so hot inside the safe that the coins were bubbling.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Jeez. All right. An interesting question on the instant feedback. Chad in Canada wants to know, who are some of the anglers that inspired you to do this game?
There's so many, but I think Mike Iaconelli is one of the big ones. Just growing up, being able to read the book that he came out with, and I mean all the real big names. Kevin Van Dam and his longevity in the sport and his just complete dominance of the sport is a big one. But there's so many, and then there's people that aren't in the tournament realm, but they are in the tournament realm, but behind the scenes, like Ray Scott, and he's definitely not behind the scenes, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Ray Scott was another one, that actually for my senior year project at high school, I did an interview with Ray Scott. I flew out to Alabama, and my dad and I stayed at his place in Alabama, and so got to hang out with him, and just getting to know Ray. Really, that was also a catalyst for doing this. So there's a lot, there's so much you can take from each angler. But yeah, some of those are the highlights.
When you went to Ray's, did you get to fish?
Oh yeah. He showed. So we get there and we drove in with my dad's RV, and the lake, it was really exciting to get there. We showed up, and then, Ray comes out, and I'm all, we got butterflies, and then he walks me. It was nighttime, so he was about to go to bed, but he walked me into the boathouse where he had a Triton sitting in the boathouse. He's just like, "Oh, you just go ahead and take that out, and I'll see you in the morning." In the morning, before he woke up, I went out and started bass fishing, caught some good fish. That lake was insane.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Matt and I.
Yeah.
When was it? What year was that?
2012.
Yeah, we got to fish and hang out there for a little bit.
We weren't supposed to fish, remember?
Yeah.
We were there for a photo shoot, and I was going to do video, and it was raining.
And then he finally said, "Let's go."
There were 6 of us in one bass boat just to say we could fish Ray Scott's lake. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, here, hold on. I've got a picture for you. Oh, look at that.
Oh, that's awesome. That's
cool.
The man himself.
Yeah.
I had black hair back then. I dyed it black. My gosh, how times have changed.
You dyed it?
Yeah, man. I wouldn't say going through a phase, but I tried it. I wasn't like gothic or anything like that, but I like the look of black hair.
The black eyeliner out on the water, just dripping down your face in the sun.
But yeah, that was a cool trip.
I got a question. You did the Sweetwater show, was it with Joey there for a couple years?
Yeah.
It really well professionally done. I mean, you're like shooting the Bass Pro, a lot of post-production there. How difficult is it to shoot a professionally done TV show as opposed to tournament fishing? Do you feel pressure? Is there a time commitment? Is there a lot of pre-fishing involved? Or is it just kind of one of those things where you shoot your episodes for the season and then it exists for the next year, and then in a couple weeks you shoot again?
Well, number one, we still do Sweetwater,
Okay.
so it's still on the air. We're still filming. Season 5's up right now, but yeah, it's tough. I mean, when it comes to tournament fishing, I think I put a lot of pressure on myself during tournaments, but when you're filming, you've got an entire film crew, you got a production company, you got, everybody involved requiring you to catch a fish, so, and it doesn't make it easier that you have to film in tournament coverage. They're just running all day. They have no choice. The camera guys have to just, shoot and then make the best show of what they have. But when you're producing a show, you really have to, take the breaks and the camera crew needs a rest, and you also need to redo every once in a while. You have to redo something, some component of a fish catch to make sure that they've got the footage. And so it takes a lot of time. And the worst feeling is when you've got fish schooling around you and the cameras are down and they say, do not make a cast. That is the toughest part of the whole filming process. So it is a challenge, and usually we don't make it any easier for ourselves. We do our shows in generally one day and maybe a half day for some production things like getting B-roll and things like that. So, and we're going to lakes not necessarily at the best times of the year, because usually we like to wait until the end of the year after I cast to start filming, and then we're filming in the South in October, or September, which isn't exactly the best time.
You mentioned the iCast. Is that also a challenge? I mean, now you're a touring pro. There's other people on the show. As far as how do you do that sponsorship wise? I mean, do you wrap it into? Do they sponsor you and the show? Do you have to do show sponsorships? Do you do your individual sponsorships? Do you not have anything to do with the show sponsorships? I'd imagine that there's a lot of different components in play.
Yeah, I can certainly sell sponsorship for the show, and if there's anybody out there who wants to sponsor Sweetwater, give me a shout. But mostly the production company does that. Okay. And so I haven't landed any sponsors for the show, and some of the sponsorships that we have through the show have they want to be part of my tournament fishing as well. So there are some sponsors that I have, like Z-Man and Hook, that wanted a piece of both aspects. But as far as sponsorship going into the tour this year, it was a full-time job, I got to tell you, because that jump, I didn't have any savings at all going into this year, and so it wasn't like I could pay my own money. And going into it, it was just constantly making phone calls and sending emails and responding to both of those, and so it's a full-time job during the off season for sure.
I guess one more kind of sponsor. You're still with a Lucky Tackle Box, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so for people who don't know what those are, there's a number of different ones out there, but it's basically you get you subscribe to it, and then you get there it is right there. And there's every month it's kind of based on season, like a number of different baits in there. I just, what do you think the draw is? The popularity of that seems to have exploded. I mean, you go online, you talk to a lot of people who fish, and it seems like that's a really popular element that's come about over the past 4 or 5 years as far as the kind of mailbox grab bag.
Yeah, I think it's a few things, because number one, who doesn't like getting a package, especially filled with fishing gear? So that's one aspect. Is just that feeling of oh yeah, I got something in the mail today. And then there's the aspect of you open one of these up, you don't know exactly what you're going to get. It's like the Forrest Gump box, so you don't know what's in there, and then you open it up, and then you realize that you've got all these baits that you probably would have never thrown, and all this terminal tackle. So it kind of opens the door to experimenting with different baits and terminal tackle that you wouldn't necessarily use to begin with. So I think that's a big part of it, is it's really broadening people's horizons as far as tactics they'd use.
I swear I didn't tee him up for that. I did not know that he had one sitting right there, Mark. That was a random question.
All right, a couple of questions.
Okay.
There you have it. All right, a couple of questions from the instant feedback. Carl in Ohio wants to know, when you do all your homework and you're doing scouting, do you put waypoints in your mapping software before you go pre-fish or practice for a body of water?
Yeah, you can. You can actually, use the plotter sync on your Navionics app and link it with the Lowrance unit and transfer for the waypoints. Honestly, I don't do that a ton because I like to just keep them on my phone. So yeah, I'll mark a bunch of spots on my Navionics app, and then during practice, I'll go check those out, and then I'll just delete them off the phone as I go.
Okay, here's my phone right here.
Yeah.
If I wanted to do that, Is that something you could walk me through in the coming days to get it? Because I've got the Daviotics chip. I've got the Lowrance carbons on there. I see Brad Hallman in his underwear at 11 o'clock at night going through all of his stuff on his iPad, marking waypoints that then go directly to his unit. I mean, you could help me get it to where I could pull up the Daviotics app on this, and then it goes to my unit and I can see what I'm looking at.
They don't call me Sonar for nothing.
That's what I'm saying. I'm going to take advantage of this opportunity. I feel like maybe that's why that logo's on the shirt. That's what you're getting paid to do there, and I'm going to take advantage of it. It's a win-win.
Make sure you send him an invoice, okay? That one thing needs to happen. Send him an invoice for that. It'd be worth it, right, Matthew?
Yeah, I mean, he never technically agreed yet.
Yeah, but so I'll have to brush up on the entire process because I don't do it that much. But absolutely, I can get you hooked up.
Okay.
All right, there you have it. All right, Don in Illinois, what has this support been like fishing the tour from your wife?
For my wife?
From your wife.
Oh, the support? Oh,
yeah.
She's very supportive. I mean, she's a big part. She's my biggest sponsor. I know that a lot of guys say that, but really that is a big deal, is to have support from your family at home. And Katie, she's new to it. You know, she had no idea that this bass fishing realm actually existed when we first started dating. But now she's like full bore. She wants to eventually be a real big part of the whole business side for me. And so she's a huge proponent of it.
All right.
Was there another answer to that though?
Dude, I don't know. I just take care of the fans.
No, I know.
I'm helping out Don in Illinois.
Every time I leave for a tournament, I gotta try to find the truck key. She hides them from me.
Hey, that's the case with some guys, Matthew.
Yeah, true.
So, that's true. I'm very lucky though. I'm very lucky.
A couple of questions, and then we'll let you go. I'm just curious, man. Where do you see yourself 3 years from now?
Fishing, continuing to fish the top level of the sport, and hopefully maintaining consistency. That's really my goal, is to be consistent and make championships. So hopefully in 3 years I definitely want a tour level win under my belt, and then beyond that I just want to be at a position where I'm in contention for Angler of the Year in 3 years, and maybe this year. So far it's been off to a good start. I have a lot of work ahead of me, but in 3 years I want to be in that zone where I'll be in my mid 30s, and so I should be in my prime and making really, really solid decisions by then. So that's kind of where I want to be. I don't want to say I need to win a cup by then, or I need to win, several tour level events or Angler of the Year. I want to make sure that I'm, my goals are set on the process, not the outcome.
Could you see yourself, and the instant feedback blew up as soon as I asked that question, could you see yourself fishing either the Elite Series or Major League Fishing on the PPT?
Anything, the sky's the limit. Right now, all I can say is I love fishing FLW. I've really enjoyed it. I've been fishing that organization for a lot of years. I've got 8 different BFL divisions I've fished, the different Costa divisions, and have done a lot with that organization. So I feel at home right now. And I think that at this point in my career, I'm focused and kind of all in on FLW Tour right now.
All right. What is the one part of your game that you feel like that you are really dialed in, and what is the one part of your game that you really need to improve on?
I think the best part of my game is kind of being able to follow my gut, and make better decisions. I think that I need to grow in the aspect of I think a drop shot is the thing I need to grow the most on, which is weird for most people because I grew up in California. You'd think I'd be really good at it, but that's definitely one technique I need to do better at. But overall, I think that my consistency or my versatility is kind of my biggest strength.
All right. What was your favorite lake in California?
Ooh. It's a lake called the After Bay, which is right there. Paradise is right next to Lake Oroville, which is very similar to Lake Shasta. So Oroville would probably be, top of the list too. But if I was to say overall, even though I hadn't fished them that much, I think the Delta is probably my overall favorite, just because now that I love Florida fishing and understand it, that kind of fits that mold.
All right, man. Matthew, anything else?
No, we're all good. I just made a note. I would just like to let you know that I'm living proof that just because you get to your mid-30s does not mean you'll make solid decisions.
I still make terrible decisions. Don't get me wrong.
Just like
I've made them so far this year,
you know that those two things are completely mutually exclusive. Mid-30s and solid decisions.
Wow. All right, Miles, man. Can't thank you enough for taking time out. Off to a great start on the FLW Tour this year. And, hey, man, you can come back on. We'd love to have you on later in the year and kind of track your progress on where you're at now and where you're going to get to.
Right on. Well, I'm honored to be here today. Thank you, guys. And I'm going to prove to you that 13 is not a unlucky number. I'm gonna get up to. I'm gonna try to shoot for 7th place by the end of this next event, because I didn't even think in that term of unlucky being in 13. So I gotta get it out of there.
All right, man. See, there you have it, Matthew. All right, man. Good luck to you.
See you
Be
guys.
safe.
Thanks.
Take care, man. All right, there you have it. FLW professional Miles Burghoff.
There's a number of different avenues you could have gone down with that. I think you could have done a whole interview on the Alaska guiding.
Yeah.
The only other, there's 2 other Alaska guides that kind of come to mind. Fred Kantawi, steelhead guide up in Alaska, did a lot of wilderness guiding up there. I ran the Orange County Choppers Wrap on the FLW Tour in the mid-2000s. And then also remember the Iceman, Chad Griffith. I believe he was from Anchorage.
That is correct.
So...
Are we at the point now where the Elite Series is 12 years old?
2006 was its inception, so I believe this is 13 or 14.
Oh, you had to say that. No, I'm just kidding. 13th year. Are we at the point now where we could start to go back and do a where are they now?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I remember, who was it? Mark Kyle. Do you remember that name?
Yeah, remember, we've got that book around here somewhere,
yeah,
Mark.
I think it's in the office.
2006 Elite Series when everybody had the...
it's in the office.
The button-ups.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. There are a lot of guys that started out not only on the Elite Series, but also on the FLW Tour that you just kind of shake your head and go, wow, I wonder what happened to that dude.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. The other thing, and you might be able to answer this, because I have not perused the web and really dove into this. And I remember seeing, I don't know if it was a press release or a story or just a little blurb. How long is it going to be until a full-blown sponsorship is going to be taken by an angler on one of the 3 tours that has a marijuana reference?
CBD with the cannabis now being...
Yeah.
There's stores all over Oklahoma now.
They are everywhere. I didn't really notice it until yesterday.
You know what,
man?
though? I feel like that would fall under a clause that the organizations have, that sponsorships are their boat wrap in Jersey must be approved by the organization.
Have we gotten to that point, though? Because it is legal
in some states.
In a lot of states,
but
they don't have a problem with alcohol.
Yeah, but there's also there's been some sponsorships that have been turned down by both organizations that I know of, where they said that it doesn't match with what they represent.
All right, are we at the point now where it's the almighty dollar, to where if the largest CBD distributor, manufacturer, whatever, goes to Bass, goes to FLW, goes to Major League Fishing and says, look, we're going to give you $250,000 if we can advertise with you? Do they do it? They did alcohol. Do they do this?
Join us tomorrow for the most beautiful sunrise you have ever seen. We'll have butterscotch crippus. We'll have donuts.
I know there is a guy out there, and I can't remember his name. I've seen a blurb where there was a cannabis company that was sponsoring him. Now, I don't know in what level or what, size logo.
A sport? In what sport?
Fishing.
In fishing?
Yes. Somebody even said it. Don in Illinois said it also on a semi-pro level.
Yeah, opposed to it.
Well,
I don't think that it would get approved.
You don't think it'll happen?
No. I mean, how is that wrap going to look?
Green? Dude, I just now noticed it, though. Yesterday, I had to run some errands after practice, and I was like, oh, there's one. And then I'd go 2 miles down. Oh, there's another one.
Yeah.
And then I'd go about 4 miles. There's another one. What is going on?
No proof of this, but just on some of the other things that I know that the organizations have been approached with for anglers to do potential wraps and title sponsors. They did male enhancement.
You remember Rick Clunn was involved with that.
That was Rick?
Yes. Cialis.
That was a big sponsorship.
I don't know. I just, it's an interesting question. Are we at that point now where
think that would get approved?
Accepted?
I don't think Bill or Tripp would be too keen on that, personally. I could be totally wrong. I don't want to speak for either of them, but
I don't know.
I don't think we're there yet.
I think it's kind of weird that we.
What do you think? What if one approached? What if one approached BTL?
I'd say no
for a title sponsorship.
No, I don't care if it was for $200,000. I'd say no.
Well, we would have to talk about it then, but
I'd say no. That's just how I roll, though. I'm not
black flag straight edge, huh?
That's right. Not going to happen.
Yeah, but you get the mock turtleneck and the hair to the side like that. I don't think you're open to the old medicinal marijuana.
Oh, jeez, man. You're just... I'm taking some grief on that.
I will say one thing. There's so much stuff out there that you can learn from. Like, I got in and I hadn't really looked at any of his webinars and all that Miles does. You can always learn stuff from different people. It doesn't matter what it is. I mean, there's a great one out that he did last night on his Miles Sonar Burghoff YouTube channel. It's like an hour and 40 minutes. I mean, he's been on live stream 4 of the last 12 hours because he did this last night and then did this morning. But you can pick stuff up from all this stuff. It's good stuff, so check it out.
All right, want to thank Miles Burghoff for taking time out, being on the show today. Next week, look for the schedule. It will be posted on Saturday on basson.com. Odd Show coming up next week. Can't wait. Right now, Odd Defo, your favorite at 1-1. We'll see what the rest of the field shakes out like. Everybody be safe. Try and stay warm. It is chilly. Be safe. We're out of here.